Zichronam Livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. As we now transition into the installation portion of our service, it is my pleasure to invite the chair of our Rabbinic Search Committee, Dennis Pavlich, to the bima.
So, bursting with pride, I'm here this evening to make obeisance to our new teacher and leader of the Temple Sholom congregation. I also want to welcome all of you and to thank you very much for the role that all of you played in the selection of Rabbi Moskovitz to this very critical and important position here at Temple Sholom. The sacred cycle of transformation began with the constitution of the Senior Rabbi Committee. And I'm here really to give this welcome on behalf of that committee. One of the things about the way our world operates is, in the end, when a decision is made, reductionism sort of puts it into the chair, and that happens to be my happy lot. Especially as I believe this was a very successful search, and I'll give the reasons for that very briefly. But I do want to pay tribute, honestly, to the members of the committee who did just an absolutely magnificent job, each and every one, okay? A huge amount of work and just a huge amount of wisdom and judgment was given. Charlotte Bell was the vice chair of this committee, and in no order, Barbara Halpern, Tobin Robbins, Beth Schwartz, Jeff Balin, Rena Cohen, Sharon Kahn, Jeff Witten, Alexis Rothschild, Hannah Leyland, and Jerry Groh. All were, these were the members of the committee, the core members of the committee. They represented different constituencies within the community, and their advice, their input into the committee was absolutely invaluable. They were joined later on, or assisted, not as committee members, but really to keep us in order and to give us help, Alyssa Street and John Anthony, and of course our president, David Schwartz. So to all of them, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for a job that was extremely well done. The job that we decided as a committee to embark upon was going to be a very open process. We understood the problems of transitions, which Rabbi Ophel alluded to earlier on, and we figured the best way to really deal with this was to be very inclusive of the community. So right from the word go, we canvassed the community to find out the kind of rabbi that they wanted to replace this tower of strength that we had had in the form of Rabbi Bregman. And I just want to mention the qualities that emerged from the survey that took place, just so that you can get a good idea of how successful we really have been with Rabbi Moskovitz. We looked obviously for leadership style, and leadership style was very important. This was something the community told us, right? They also told us that the top 5 qualities that they wanted in terms of the persona of the rabbi was that he should be approachable, or she should be approachable, caring about people and demonstrating it, reflecting Jewish values and ethics through personal example, and being an engaging and effective communicator and an inspirational teacher, and being an empathetic listener. Now, I have to tell you something. People said, oh, well, that's what we want in all rabbis. Yes, it is. But I want to tell you also that among the candidates we saw, there really was only one who fitted that bill so perfectly, and that was Rabbi Moskovitz. We also wanted people with experience and things like that. But the fact of the matter is this really describes Rabbi Dan. And it wasn't just our opinion, because one of the things we also did was we wanted you to meet the candidates, the finalists. And so we put in place a program in which you could meet them, and then we invited your comments, and we actually structured that. Beth Schwartz did an amazing job with the computers and monkey something or other to be able to engage and do that. It was a very, very frenetic pace, I have to tell you, in terms of interviewing all the different candidates. I remember really, really struggling, I have to say, with the visit of Dan and Sharon. It rained from the time their plane arrived. It was solid water for the entire 3 days. And I knew from just chatting with them that this was a serious candidate. This was somebody we were really interested. So what to do? You know, most of the time I was saying, oh, you know, if only you'd been here yesterday. The sun was perfect, but there are beautiful mountains over there. And the water is just quite magnificent. You can't see it, but trust me, it's there. So, this is the way it happens in Vancouver, right? Because our new Vancouverites, okay, have invited their guests. And guess what? Yesterday, the sun was shining. Today it's not. Tomorrow it's not. But Monday, it will be. Okay? They know I wasn't a liar because they've had a brilliant summer here, right? And I was correct when I said the sun really does come and we have magnificent summers. So, so much for that. The other thing I want to really pay tribute to as well is Rabbi Bregman. I have to tell you, Rabbi Ophel was correct. We were very cognizant of a community, of the wonderful thing that we have here at Temple Sholom. And it was very, very important for us to keep this together. And you really can't do that, it seems to me, without the good advice of the outgoing rabbi, a rabbi who, after all, had been here for 33 years and who had built this congregation in terms of its people and its physical structure. And you know, the wonderful thing is, Rabbi Bregman wanted to be involved. He met each and every one of the candidates. And I have to tell you, it made my heart feel really good when he said to me, Dennis, there is only one candidate. You guessed it, it was Rabbi Dan. So thank you very much, Rabbi Bregman, for all the help and your cooperation in this process, although the rabbi was, our committee made sure the rabbi was also kept at bay, right? And that was a pretty tough job too, let me tell you. Anyway, I've only been given 3 minutes, and I fear I've gone beyond that. So I just want to start off again with the transforming notion, okay? This is a sacred transforming process, and the rain helps in that transformation. It is refreshing, and for our community, Rabbi Dan is a huge refreshment for us. And just as on Monday, you will see that expanse of azure, and just as you will see those fur-clothed mountains, now hopefully with a coronet of white, twinkling in the bright sunlight, welcoming the latest and newest and most precious sacred teacher here at Temple Sholom, Dan Moskovitz. Thank you. And I forgot, my last job is actually to ask David Schwartz to come.
Shabbat Shalom. Tonight we have entered this sanctuary for a sacred and historic Shabbat service. We have come together for Rabbi Moskovitz's installation to unite our spiritual leader and our congregation, and for us to formally pledge our commitment to this partnership. A big welcome to Rabbi Moskovitz's family and friends who've traveled to celebrate this simcha with us. We are blessed to have so many guests from Canada, the United States, and Israel, as well as from the greater Vancouver community. Tonight we are honored by the presence of two guest rabbis, Rabbi Don Gur, Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Judea, Los Angeles, and recently the Senior Manager of Arts of World International, and Rabbi Jan Ophel, Congregational Network Rabbinic Director, URJ West District. These past few months have been a period of transition as the congregation and Rabbi Moskovitz have gotten to know each other. There are countless people and actions to acknowledge for making the transition successful, and there are a few I would like to mention. Thank you to the terrific search committee chaired by Dennis Pavlich, who through their hard work brought Rabbi Moskovitz to us. Thank you to the dedicated staff led by Rochelle Garfinkel for their extra efforts during the transition. Thank you to the welcoming committee led by Ann Andrew for making the move for the Moskovitz family as easy as possible, including the airport multi-generational welcoming group, complete with signs and banners and balloons, and Ann dressed in a whimsical costume, and for organizing many months of getting to know you events and particularly planning this amazing evening. I want to thank our Rabbi Emeritus, Philip Bregman, for his leadership of the congregation for 33 magnificent years and for all of his support of the transition. To Sharon Mishler, our Rebbitzin, I know this has been a transition for you as well. I want to thank you for your contribution to Temple life, your many visits to new parents, support during Shivas, the lasagna bake-a-thons for family Shabbats, hosting sukkah at your house, and attending events and countless dinner parties and coffees. And for showing your showbiz side by being the assistant director on the YouTube music video Apples and Honey, which has currently been viewed 9,000 times. To our new RKs, Rabbi's kids, Judah, Levi, and Esty. It has been great to see you in Temple on Friday and Saturdays, davening with your dad, so well behaved, and enjoying religious school and making friends. Thanks for sharing your dad with us. There's been quite a buzz around the Temple and in the community about Rabbi Dan. The word on the street is the Temple was the place to be for high holidays this year. And everybody who has spoken to Rabbi Dan comments, he is so warm. He has been on CBC radio several times and has been profiled in the Courier and the Jewish Independent newspapers, and recently was a guest speaker at the Vancouver Jewish Film Festival. And recently he's shown his technological prowess by creating the Temple Sholom app. I'm proud to say that due to Rabbi Moskovitz's neshama and menschlichkeit, seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the warmth is infectious. Pirkat Avot teaches us, make for yourself a rabbi and acquire yourself a friend. When we learn from a rabbi, we develop a strong bond with him, since a rabbi teaches his students not only in his study or classroom, but is also present at some of the most sacred and intimate moments in a person's life. At the birth of a child, a marriage, a child's bar mitzvah, a wedding, a funeral, a divorce. In doing so, a rabbi becomes an active participant in our lives, and a special relationship is created. This installation is a joyous occasion, but it is also the moment when we shift this rabbinic tradition from being about Rabbi Moskovitz to being about us. This evening, he will invite all of us to put into practice the relational approach to synagogue and Jewish communal life he has tried to model these first few months, such as greeting congregants in the front foyer and introducing the Meet Your Neighbor segment at the beginning of services. We might have to get Carrie Brown a whistle because people are enjoying it so much, it's slowing down the services. Temple Sholom will keep doing the important work we've done for nearly 50 years, honoring and sanctifying each and every person, integrating a deep sense of Jewish tradition with contemporary life, but we can continue to evolve as a congregation, making this historic moment not just a rabbinic transition, but a congregational transition from me to we, from programs to people, from individual to relational. Just as Rabbi Moskovitz is getting to know each of us, let us all dedicate ourselves to coming to know each other. Together, through a relational approach to Judaism and Jewish life, we will only deepen our appreciation for our temple community and the many blessings it adds to our lives. I'm very happy about the new energy at Temple Sholom as we continue in our sacred journey. I'm delighted about Rabbi Moskovitz's ideas and energy supporting Havurah groups, his ideas about invigorating the men's club, and his strong working relationship with Rabbi Brown and Cantor Tosic, which all bodes well for Temple as we go from strength to strength. It is now my pleasure to introduce Rabbi Don Gur, Rabbi Moskovitz's friend and mentor, to share with us a bit about Rabbi Moskovitz and perform the formal installation. Rabbi Gur hired Rabbi Moskovitz directly out of rabbinical school to be the assistant rabbi at Temple Judea 13 years ago. Rabbi Gur.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here tonight. I've heard a lot about Temple Sholom over the years. Rabbi Bregman and his reputation across the country. It's a good reputation, lest you worry. And Rabbi Brown, who I also have known, and your cantor I get to know tonight. Nice to be with you. But also, you have sent 8 students to the Hebrew College, if I count correctly, to become rabbis. And I'll mention tonight specifically that Tali Zelkowitz was here, a student of mine, and Daniel Michaelberg, also a student of mine. And so it's a pleasure to be here in this community that truly has created such a sense of Judaism, such a sense of caring, and such a wonderful reputation. So I learned from Rabbi Dan, who often quoted a teacher that we both shared at Hebrew College, but I don't remember that lesson. I must have missed it that day, that a rabbi should never enter a room without a story and a blessing. So tonight I'm going to share with you a story, a blessing, and I'm going to add my own addendum. Then I'm going to throw in a text as well. So story. I got to know Rabbi Dan before we brought him on board at Temple Judea as my student. He was, as he continues to be, inquisitive, very directed, very joyful, and really a pleasure to be with as a teacher. And our friendship deepened over the years, and it was really my great joy and Temple Judea's joy to bring Rabbi Moskovitz on our team when he was ordained a rabbi. In difficult times and really joyful times, we shared and deepened that relationship over the years. I was there when Dan and Sharon stood under the chuppah together at the Brit Milah of Judah and Levi and the naming of Esti, not so long ago. But I really have to tell you that it's a miracle he invited me here tonight. Because the one story I really want to share was after we engaged Dan to be rabbi at Temple Judea, I took him out to dinner at a conference. We were in Palm Springs. And he ordered the salmon, right? So the next morning, he didn't show up at the conference. And it became, Sharon's laughing, it became clear that he had gotten very, very sick from the dinner. And Rabbi Ophel and I actually drove around Palm Springs from hospital to hospital until we found your rabbi very sick and very pale. And he swore we would never eat together again. Last night we went out for fish, and I was very surprised. I noticed. I don't want to say anything, just in case. Kinahara. One of the greatest joys of my rabbinate these years at Temple Judea was having Dan in the office next to me. How many times a day would I walk into his study or he would walk into mine for us to schmooze, to share an idea, to debate a topic we didn't always agree, to talk about our personal lives, to share what was happening in the world. We read our sermons to each other. We studied text together. We debated the future of synagogue and Jewish life. And Dan became much more than my student and my colleague. He became my friend and my rabbi. And how blessed are you at Temple Sholom that you can now say he is becoming your friend and your teacher and your rabbi as well. A text. I'm going to share two short texts tonight from this week's portion, from our Parsha, and from next week's, because really an installation is to talk about the future. This week we see the two brothers, Jacob and Esau, who really don't like each other after Jacob stole Esau's blessing. And they feared this moment of meeting very greatly. But what happens when they actually meet? All these years apart, all this fear that has deepened over the years, what happens when they meet? They hug each other. It's such an important moment that in the Torah, in the Hebrew, the scribe puts a dot over each letter of the word. They hug each other. You've chosen as your rabbi, Rabbi Dan Moskovitz, a rabbi whom I admire and I adore, because his rabbinate is one of warmth and of embrace. Behind every decision he makes is a love of Judaism and a love of every individual Jew whom he meets. A love that you, his new congregation, will be fortunate to be blessed to enjoy. Open yourselves to your new rabbi. May Rabbi Dan's love and embrace touch your hearts and your souls. And the second text comes from next week's Parsha. It's a text that I learned from Rabbi Dan. Well, I learned it before, but he pointed out the importance of this text. We begin the Joseph story, and he wears his coat of many colors. He has his dreams, and his brothers do what with him? They throw him into the pit, and they sell him off to slavery. But there's a moment in the Parsha next week, Ish Midotan. He goes to look for his brothers, and an anonymous man, and Dan gave a sermon about this one on holidays. You should remember every sermon your rabbi gives. An anonymous man points him in the direction of his brothers. That anonymous man points him to the future of the Jewish people, because without Egypt, we wouldn't have slavery. Without Egypt, we wouldn't have redemption. We wouldn't have Sinai, and we wouldn't have Israel. An anonymous man. Rabbi Dan believes in each one of you. He believes in the members of this holy congregation. Rabbi Moskovitz holds very deeply as a foundational principle of his rabbinate that each person has the power to make a difference. Your rabbi has dedicated his life to creating opportunities for holy acts here in the synagogue and in his everyday life, often in anonymous acts of holiness. So a story, a text, and finally a blessing. A blessing for you, Rabbi Dan, for your family, for your holy congregation as you embark on this new chapter in the life of Temple Sholom. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors. Tonight we pray, that Rabbi Moskovitz may enjoy the blessing of holiness in each and every day of his rabbinate. Dan, I've watched you teach youngsters and adults. I've enjoyed the stories that you've told to toddlers and the counseling that you've done with seniors. And I continue to learn from you through emails, phone calls, conversations, sermon sessions. Rabbi Moskovitz, you are someone who cares deeply, very deeply, about the personal growth that can be attained through learning. On your journey with Temple Sholom, may you continue to teach, may you continue to learn, may you continue to grow. To this blessing, we all say together, Amen. Eloheinu v'Elohe avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, may Rabbi Moskovitz continue to enjoy the deep love that he holds, a love for our tradition, a deep love for others, for each one of you. May the covenant that you formalized this evening between rabbi and congregation be one of love. May you share a love that renews itself each and every day. And to this blessing, together we all say, Amen. And now a blessing for you, this holy congregation. Eloheinu v'Elohe avotenu v'imotenu, God and God of our ancestors, may you bless the members of Temple Sholom with an appreciation for Rabbi Moskovitz, for his family, for his talents, for his creativity, for his dedication to you. May you be ever grateful for Rabbi Moskovitz's enthusiasm, his creativity, his vision. And may you, his congregation, recognize his need for his own life, his own time, for himself and for his family. Amen. There's more. You should care for your rabbi. And how are you going to know when you care for your rabbi? How do you measure this blessing? You measure it by not picking up the phone on his day off because you know you can wait one more day. You measure it when you care not only for Rabbi Dan, but for Sharon and for Judah, for Levi, for Esty. You should care about them. You should express your concern when you understand they can't accept your invitation, even though you want them to be in your home. Grant them the gift of their own time, their family time. And may you, this holy congregation, enjoy the blessing of patience. He's new. You have a minhag. You have a way that your rabbi has trained you for years. May you understand that he's new and needs to learn. Give each other time to learn, to love each other, time to grow together, to be patient with each other. To this blessing, we add to what Rabbi Dan just said. We all say, Amen. This Shabbat of installation is a reminder to lift your eyes to the holiness that you have begun already to create together, and the holiness you'll create together in the years to come. As you journey forward, may you share moments of love. May you accept the challenge of finding holiness in the everyday. May you appreciate the values that our tradition instills deeply within each one of you, within your rabbi, the values that guide not only this holy congregation, but the Jewish people together. And together we all say, Amen. I see that you're ready. Are you going to sing before we bless Rabbi Dan at the Ark? After. Okay. So we'll ask the congregation to please rise. Rabbi Bregman and Rabbi Brown and Cantor Tulloch and Rabbi Othel can join me at the Ark. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and watch over you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's grace always shine within your life. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God always deal kindly with you and give you the most precious of all God's gifts, the gift of peace, the gift of contentment, the gift of Sholom.
Wait till you hear them at the Sisterhood Shabbat. They'll blow you away. What does it mean when a rabbi takes off his watch? Absolutely nothing. There has been a lot of speaking tonight, and so I will try to be brief, but there is some to say. Rabbi Gore, thank you. My friend and my mentor since I was a student in rabbinical school, you've guided me to become the rabbi that I am today. Temple Sholom, you need to know that so much of what I do as a rabbi and how I do it, I learned from Rabbi Gore. Really only the good things. The bad stuff, that's on me. Don, you are my rabbi. And it means more to me than I can say that you are here to share this moment with me. Thank you so much. Today I am honored and humbled to be the next senior rabbi of Temple Sholom, to stand on the shoulders of our founding families and to benefit from the visionary leadership of Rabbi and Kathy Bregman, from our incredible staff, our dedicated lay leaders past and present. Rabbi Bregman, on Rosh Hashanah, you handed me Torah. But prior to that, and for almost 50 years, you and our leadership team have every day been planning for Temple Sholom's future. David and Dennis, thank you. Thank you for your confidence in me as well as your partnership over these past 10 months since you first offered me this opportunity to be your rabbi. I will do my very best to be worthy of the kind words that you extended to me tonight. Thank you, Ann Andrew, and our entire welcoming committee for this evening and for all of the many evenings and programs over these past months. You have welcomed me into your home, and Sharon and our children, Judah, Levi, and Esty, into your homes. You've welcomed us into your circle of friends, and you have done everything possible to create opportunities for us to connect with this community. We love it here. We love it here even more because of all of you. And I know you well enough now to know that you hate that I'm about to single you out for special recognition, but it must be said. You have done so much for Temple Sholom and for our family. I will never forget your greeting and welcoming of us at YVR as you were dressed as a clown and drove us home. My children will never forget that as well. They keep wondering, when's the clown going to come over again? Are you available for birthday parties? From that moment to now, you and Eric have opened your home and your hearts to us. Sharon and I are forever grateful. In coming to Temple Sholom, I have been blessed with a talented and dedicated team of colleagues and friends. Thank you, Ashley and Karina and Odea and Bernie and Rufina and Dimitar and Josh and Naama and Carol, Lisa, Jenny, and Jen, for all you do to make Temple Sholom such a warm, welcoming, and smooth-running place. Rabbi Brown, Cantor Tausik, and Rochelle, how blessed I am to work with each of you. The song from Pesach comes to mind, Dayenu. Dayenu, it would have been enough if Temple Sholom had only had such a dedicated and capable executive director as Rochelle, who is apparently related to every Jewish person from Winnipeg and personally knows everybody else from Canada. Dayenu, it would have been enough if Temple Sholom only had such a talented cantor with a voice and neshama as Naomi's that lifts our spirit to new heights every Shabbos. Dayenu, it would have been enough if Temple Sholom only had an associate rabbi in Rabbi Brown, who is a true partner and a true teacher of Torah, so well respected in the rabbinic community, an associate who shares my vision and values and is so incredibly capable and competent. Such a wonderful friend and partner. Dayenu, it would have been enough to work with just one of you, but to be blessed with all three of you and our whole team. I feel like I scored the Rabbi Cantor Executive Director hat trick. And now I know what that means. Thank you to my incredible family for flying in from California, my brother who's still flying in from California, to share this weekend, and to our dear friends from Los Angeles and Temple, Judea, and my friend and colleague, Rabbi Jan Ophel. I am blown away, all of you, by your presence here this weekend. Some of you didn't even tell me you were coming, Josh Rubenstein. That I should be, what does a rabbi pray for, we ask? What prayer does a rabbi have? Mine is that I should be blessed twice in my lifetime to make such deep and lasting friendships at Temple Sholom as I did at Temple Judea. And most of all, thank you to my partner and my best friend, Sharon, to our children, Judah, Levi, and Esty. In moving to Vancouver, I got to pursue my passion and calling. You, uprooted from your parents and grandparents, friends and home and schools, to join me in following this dream. I know you know, but please never forget that I know that I could not do this without your love and without your support. And to you, our congregation, I need you to know, I need you to really know that I know that Temple Sholom is special. It is a jewel. The congregation I inherit is extraordinary in so many ways. We are a pillar of this community, respected across North America and up and down Oak Street. There is a difference. We are a shul above politics and turf battles, with the sanctuary reasonably full on Friday nights and Saturday mornings, and a religious school that is innovative and engaging. We have a weekday morning minyan and ongoing Torah study that exists because of the Jewish values of our members. A sisterhood and 60-plus program that not only wins awards, but more importantly wins our hearts through the chesed, through the kindness that they show everyone that they touch. I am inheriting a wonderful, spectacular congregation. And my first priority as your senior rabbi is not to screw it up. In the book of Proverbs, a book attributed to the wise King Solomon, he wrote, "Without vision, the people perish. My vision for our community, simply put, is more joy, less oi. It is a vision guided by faith, not fear. Faith that together we can be, as Torah commands us to be, a house for all people, a community of sacred purpose, built upon a foundation of meaningful relationships, a community that is about people and not programs." Viktor Frankl, whose great philosophical observations grew out of his own torment in the Shoah, observed, "Life is not primarily a quest for pleasure or a quest for power, but life is primarily a quest for meaning. The greatest task in life is to find meaning. That task is amplified when it is shared by a whole community. The gift of faith in general, and Judaism in particular, is the gift of meaning. Why be Jewish? Because Judaism holds the answer to the ultimate question. What is the meaning of life? For what purpose was I created? For generations of Jews, the answer to that question, why be Jewish, was victimhood. They tried to kill us. Victimhood colored with a little bit of guilt, or said perhaps more politely, why be Jewish? Because of obligation. My parents went to shul, and so I go to shul. Why be Jewish? Because the world will not accept me or see me as anything else. Those answers are utterly insufficient for the world we live in today. We cannot be a people living in fear of our own demise. That is not meaning enough. Fear will not sustain our community. Fear and guilt will not grow our congregation. Over these past 4 months, I have sat in dozens of living rooms, spoken with hundreds on the phone or in person over countless cups of coffee. Indeed, on the high holy days, I probably shook 2,000 hands and exchanged at least a few brief words of greeting and hopefully a moment of connection. If I have learned anything from these invaluable opportunities to meet you and to get to know your stories, it is that the road to a meaningful Jewish life and community is not paved by fear, not driven by paranoia or victimhood, but rather that road is a quest for meaning. A vibrant, relevant, inclusive, and unapologetic Canadian Reform Judaism is what our community needs most of all. A modern Jewish endeavor based on ancient values our ancestors lived and for which they were prepared to die. On justice, compassion, love of the stranger, the sanctity and joy of life, and the dignity of every human being without regard to color, culture, creed, gender, age, or orientation. You taught me that. Your stories of intermarried children who feel unwelcome in synagogues, of grandchildren or your own school-age children who see religious school as more of a burden than a blessing, of families feeling bound by technological chains, obligated in so many directions that the Sabbath they need most is moving further and further away. You showed me. You showed me when I met with young single adults who find no reason to join a synagogue, because to them Judaism is not a religious experience, but rather a cultural expression. Singles and seniors who are alone and isolated, yearning for meaningful relationships in a supportive community at a time when people dear to them are slipping away. More joy, less oi. Fear, faith, not fear. People, not programs. The three pillars of my vision for Temple Sholom at this unique moment in our history. The verse I chose for this evening's invitation was from Pirkei Avot. Aseh lecha rav v'koneh lecha chaver. Get for yourself a teacher, a rabbi, and you will acquire for yourself a friend. I am humbled and deeply grateful to be your rabbi, and I look forward and would be honored to earn the opportunity, the privilege to be your friend. Shabbat Shalom.
I'm the clown. I was a bit naive when I wrote to Rabbi Dan to ask if there was anything that the welcoming committee could do to help with his move to Temple Sholom. What returned was a 25-page email detailing his plans for the next 56 years and asking if we could possibly have it done before his official start date. With a lot of help from the office staff and especially Rochelle, we did actually make a dent in the list. We all joined the welcoming committee because we wanted to have a chance to get to know Rabbi Dan, and we're very pleased that we did. As one of the members of our committee, Arlene Gladstone, said so beautifully, although we were supposed to be doing the welcoming, it was actually you who were welcoming us, all of us, into your heart. So it's my very great pleasure to be able to present this wonderful gift to you, which this piece by Robert Saslow.
Oh my God.
The dedication reads, Ashreinu matov chalkenu, uma na'im goralenu, uma yafa yerushatenu. How blessed we are, how lovely our portion, how pleasant our lot, and how beautiful our tradition. Presented to Rabbi Dan Moskovitz by the congregation with love and esteem on the joyous occasion of your installation. The design is made up of the micrography of all of the blessings and Mazel Tov messages that were assembled in your honor. Our challenge as a committee was to do something that you didn't know about or hadn't planned yourself. So we do have a little extra gift that we hope you'll find useful. It's
It's a much bigger congregation.
It's to help you read the writing on the picture, but also to find the very best in everyone. And there's a few for the kids and Sharon as well.
Oh, thank you. It's a privilege and a pleasure to invite Rabbi Bregman, our Rabbi Emeritus, to come and lead us in a benediction.
I want to thank you for coming to this Hillel fundraiser.
Should I sit down?
Before I begin, I'd ask Rabbi Gore, Rabbi Affel, Rabbi Brown, Rabbi Zalkowitz, and Rabbi Dom to please join us here on the bima. Tully's still here? Okay. Robert? You're going to imagine Tully is here because she's going to be right here. Not so much a mechitza. But what we're forming with you in the middle is the menorah. That you are surrounded by, yes, your congregation, but also by colleagues, far and near, who join this night in welcoming you, our rabbi. And how appropriate that this is the parashah, that the struggle takes place and Jacob becomes Israel. Now, unlike the other name changes that take place in the Torah, when Avram becomes Avraham, he is no longer Avram. When Sarai becomes Sarah, she is no longer Sarai. But when Yaakov becomes Yisrael, he also maintains that sense of Yaakov. Yaakov is, let's say, the past, and Yisrael is the future. And you have talked so beautifully about the motif that is on our Aron HaKodesh, the tree that has the roots and the branches. And we are here as part of those roots, but also to help you and this congregation continue to blossom, continue to flower, continue to take us in the struggle and the joy of what it means to be a Jew, a human being, a Canadian.
In that order.
On behalf of the Mayor of Toronto, God, I'm glad I left that city. May we, as a community, and may we, as God's creation, truly go from strength to strength. And so at this time, I'd ask the congregation to please rise. Zeh hayom aseh Adonai nagila v'nismach avo. Truly, this is a day which God has made, and we rejoice, Dan, because you are a part of this day, because you are our Rabbi. We thank you, dear God, for this family that has come here and given of themselves, that we may also give to them. May you continue to teach us, to love us, and truly may we go from strength to strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh. Amen.
We invite our Chazan Emeritus, Arthur Gutman, to come forward to lead us in the Kiddush and Amotzi, and then our closing song.
Vayhi erev vayhi boker yom hashishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tzivam, vayichal Elohim bayom hashvihi, melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvihi, mikol melachto asher asa. Vayivorech Elohim et yom hashvihi, vayikadesh oto, ki vo shovat mikol malachto, asher baro Elohim lahasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'mahasei bereshit, ki hu yom techila למקרואי קודש, זכר לציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים. Would you join? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol
Adonai Yishmor Yitzeta V'lecha Me'etav Yad Olam. May God guard your going forward and your safe return tomorrow at 10 a.m. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah.